didn't send me anything. That's why I'm That's true. You are.
That's because it's probably the only thing on her desk.
I almost had a laugh.
What happened? Oh, you'll get that after. Yeah, you didn't get it yet? Oh, I'll find out. Gary, do you
I can write it on my hand.
I see. That's right.
Oh, it's not gonna get any better.
I am not a PI.
He turned his Wi-Fi on now. I know.
No, we're getting you a paper copy, and you're going to read off.
Oh my God. What you threw away that? Good job. Oh, I love it. Like, he's talking. I didn't do
We get a little.
You know,
I shot
Not me.
hour drive.
I've been telling everybody that.
That's right.
All right, and I already.
I'm waiting for Jared. Yeah. I'm waiting for my CEO. I'm allowed to start 5 minutes within a 5-minute time frame.
She's right in the living room.
I'm not. Is that for Mary, Jared?
Yes, I'm delivering.
Mary, we're paperless.
Oh, it's nice and big
We
too.
made sure. I don't want the next complaint to be as too small.
Oh, he knows me. He knows me.
Mary, it's all like this for us, for Angela, because we don't wear our glasses for
I
Vane.
take them off now. And bold.
Okay. We're just waiting for some technical stuff. So welcome, everybody, and Happy New Year. Did everybody have a great holiday and New Year?
This was.
It's just.
Share, I don't know if you can help yourself or. I know. We're protected.
Thank you.
Welcome, everybody, and welcome to our new space. Don't you love the chairs and the desks? So it's very exciting to be down here tonight. I'm Eileen Horowitz, your 2020 Immediate Past President.
William, the A's cannot see the live stream.
Okay. So welcome to our 2019 RPAC Awards session. I'd like to congratulate all the local boards on their investments this year. We all know the value of RPAC, but it's also our responsibility to pass that information along to our colleagues. Your support truly makes a difference in supporting the Realtor Party candidates, and this has been quite evident this year. Now it is my privilege to present the RPAC Awards to 14 of our local board or associations in honor of their exceptional performance in support of RPAC in 2019. When your board is called, please come forward to accept your award from our 2020 President, Angela Sicoli. We're not, just so that's the way it works, because this is just the RPAC award ceremony. We'll do the pledge and the actual board of directors. Thanks, Robert. Okay. Giving me a line. The Atlantic City and County. Wow. Atlantic City and County Board of Realtors. Second place, median board total dollars collected. Second place, median board member participation. And second place, median board per capita. So whoever's from Atlantic City, please come and get your award. And then if you stay with Angela, you'll have your picture taken. Cape May County Association of Realtors, exceeding goal by 103%. First place, median board total dollars collected. First place, median board member participation. And first place, median board per capita. So who is here from Cape May Association of Realtors? Thank you. The Cumberland County Board of Realtors, third place, small board total dollars collected, and third place, small board per capita. Do we have somebody from Cumberland? Nobody's here. Okay, so then we'll send that to the board. Okay. Excuse me. Everybody knows for the last year I'm directionally challenged. This is very professional on my way out. If you were me, the Gloucester Salem County Board of Realtors, third place median board total dollars collected, third place median board member participation, and the third place median board per capita. Thank you again. When it's done. Jared, you're never going to get rid of me. Now, the Greater Bergen Realtors exceeding goal by 120%. That's huge. So, Jean, you have to listen to all of it. First place, large board per capita. Second place, large board total dollars collected. Second place, large board member participation. Thank you. Metro Center Association of Realtors exceeding goal by 101%. Excellent. Third place, large board per capita. So do we have Metro Center? Thanks, Jean. Thank you. Congratulations. Monmouth Ocean Regional Realtors exceeding goal by 104%. First place, large board member participation. Second place, large board per capita. Third place, large board member participation. Thank you. Next, North Central Jersey Association of Realtors. First place, large board total dollars collected, and third place, large board member participation. David. What do you do to me? Ocean City Board of Realtors exceeding goal by 101%. First place, small board member participation. Second place, small board total dollars collected. Second place, small board per capita. Thank you. Sussex County Association of Realtors exceeding goal by 106%. Wow. First place, small board total dollars collected. First place, small board per capita. Second place, small board member participation. Thank you. Warren County Board of Realtors, third place, small board member participation. Is Warren County? Okay, we'll send it to them. Finally, I'd like to take a moment to recognize President's Circle members this year. If you can save the applause until the end. And as I mention your name, if you could stand so you could be recognized. Christina Beneziak, Jean Bonilla, Chris Clemens, Mary Davis, Alan Decker, Drew Fishman, William Flagg, Tracy Freeman, T.G. Glazer, Jared Grasso, stand. Bill Hanley, Eileen Horowitz, Jeffrey Jones, Randy Keetive, Lynn Mortimer, Bob Oppenheimer, Charlie Oppler, Chris Schluter, Angela Sicoli, Carol Tangora, Doug Thompson, and Robert White. Please stand. Thank you again, and thank you again to the commitment to our industry and to RPAC. At this time, we'll go right into Board of Directors. So I'd like to call our meeting to order. And if Mary will do our Pledge of Allegiance and our invocation. So Mary. Yeah. Oh, well, you want to stand up? Come up to the front. You could do it.
Mary.
Well, you want to stand right there, Mary? Right at the microphone. Yeah. You got it.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. If everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. May those assembled here today enjoy the many opportunities afforded by New Jersey Realtors. May we abide by the rules we have established, those of trust, fellowship, and ethics, and may we place service above self in our daily endeavors. May we always test ourselves and our efforts to be sure they are the truth, good for all concerned, of benefit to mankind and provide peace and understanding. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Jared, do we have a verification of quorum?
Funny you should ask. We have a quorum present.
Thank you. At this time, Barry, in our conflict of interest,
Hopefully, all of you had a chance to read the conflict of interest policy. Most of you have been on the board for a long time and have read it many times and heard me discuss it. But the long and the short of the policy is if there's any kind of a conflict, any possible conflict that you may have, whether it's personal, whether it's a business conflict, you should raise it with Angela, with Jared, with me, as soon as you realize there's possible conflict. Call us as soon as you see the agenda so we can discuss whether or not you should participate in a discussion, vote on an issue, possibly leave the room when the issue is discussed, because your presence may taint the discussion. Good example, one that I used at the executive committee meeting, is the lawsuit that we've been discussing over the past year, which is a class action lawsuit, Kenny versus Weichert, that's now pending. It deals with whether or not Weichert has mischaracterized, misclassified its salespeople as independent contractors when they should be employees. It's a lawsuit that will affect everybody in this room, depending upon what the decision is. However, if you are a member of a Weichert office, I don't care whether it's a franchise independently owned, if you're a member of a Weichert office, you should stop and think, oh, here's an issue that we may have to vote on, and at some point you may have to vote again. You've already voted as a board to partially fund this lawsuit and to have my firm seek to intervene in the lawsuit. But if you're a member of a Weichert office, you should stop and think, gee, should I be discussing this? Should I be part of the vote? Should I leave the room? So that would be one that would just jump out at you. And I use that as an example. But if there's any question whatsoever in your mind as to whether or not you should be recusing yourself, talk to one of us. Let's decide it right up front. It's much easier than doing it at a meeting. But let me just also say, if it dawns on you at the meeting when you're looking at the agenda, oh my God, I didn't think of this. You know what? Pull one of us to the side to the extent that you can, and we should talk about it before the issue comes up. And even if we're in the discussion, you realize it. Raise your hand and let's deal with it. Don't just let it slide. Okay? Any questions? Hearing none, I turn it back to you.
Thank you, Barry. For those of you who were last year, it's going to be a little bit repetitive, but those who are new this year to Board of Directors, we decided about a year or so ago that it was proper in today's climate to have harassment training. So for those of you who were here last year, hopefully you can get something else again out of it this year. For those of you who are new to it, you will get a lot out of this, and you can use this in your daily practice at your businesses. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Maya Obradovic to start the harassment training. Thank you, Maya. You're welcome.
Maya, do you prefer to work on the podium?
So, good afternoon, all. I'm happy to see many familiar faces from the last year. I will try to keep my presentation somewhat abbreviated because I hear that you have a jam-packed schedule. I just want to say that despite the fact that the Me Too movement has been front and center for more than 2 years, this type of conduct, sexual harassment, is still happening. The number of filings with courts, with DOC is on rise. And there are some kind of brazen and shocking examples of this conduct still going on. For example, a couple of weeks ago, a news broke that a prominent employment attorney from a big New Jersey law firm has been fired for sexually harassing and assaulting an associate, and that in response, the firm did nothing and told her that if she doesn't like it, she can leave. And she ultimately was terminated. And this employment lawyer actually documented his conduct really well by sexting and sending pictures of himself in full view and detail. So obviously even people that are trained do this kind of stuff. So there is could be some disconnect of knowing what you shouldn't do and actually internalizing it. That being said, you have the handout. If you don't, there are a few more left up front here. Many people ask me, is there anything I can say these days? Like, I'm so walking on eggshells. Is there anything I can ever say? Like, you have a nice scarf, you have a nice shirt. Where is the line? And the line is really, it's very hard to delineate. And to go back on what one Supreme Court judge previously said when asked, how do I distinguish between artistic photography, that's nude photography, and pornography? He said, well, it's really, when you see it, you will know it. In this case, I think it's really in gray area where you don't know what's appropriate, what's not. Go with your gut. And if you are asking yourself, is this person going to take it the wrong way? Don't do it. Just don't go there. So we have on the second page some of the examples of what can constitute sexual harassment. Clearly, any threats and bribes for unwanted sexual activity, any comments and innuendos that are of sexual natures, like you're not wearing anything underneath that dress, intrusive, sexually explicit questions. What did you do last night with your boyfriend? What's your favorite position? That kind of stuff. Sexually suggestive sounds and noises and winks and pelvic thrust, that kind of stuff. Asking people repeatedly out on a date. So it's not like you cannot ask somebody whom you like, would you go to have coffee with me? However, if she repeatedly refuses and you continue asking, it may cross the line. Rating person's sexuality, she's 5 and 9 and 10 and whatever, leering, ogling the other person's private parts, spreading rumors that somebody is nymphomaniac or is gay and so on. Jokes about sex. And this is a slippery slope. We have had several cases like that where you have a person who is really funny and well-liked and entertaining, and then they tell jokes, but jokes progressively get a little more spicy. And, in circumstances where the other work factors intervene, let's say the person who has been hearing these jokes needs to be terminated, she all of a sudden remembers that, it's been inappropriate for a long time and she felt that was not okay, and there is a claim. Please know that anything you can't do in person, you also can't do online or in emails. We live so much of our life online and in cyberspace. Cyberspace is particularly unforgiving, so whatever you do and say there is really going to stay and is retrievable in various ways, so be aware of that. Any displays of pictures and posters that are inappropriate or offensive is obviously off the limit. Stalking, sexual assault are also criminal offenses, so those are obvious. Comments about pregnant women being big here and there, pressure for various sexual activities, physical touching, contact. Some is obviously off limits, like pinching and slapping somebody's behind and so on. But even stuff that seems more innocuous, hugging someone, offering to give them massage because they're stressed and so on, can be taken the wrong way. I think any physical contact, some people are very uncomfortable with that type of contact. Graffiti, then calling people name, bitch, whore, and slut, and so on, obviously is off the limit and would cut the line. So we typically see harassment that's women being harassed by the men, or sometimes the opposite. Homosexual harassment is equally off the limit. There have been cases of men harassing men, not on homosexual basis, but just because they are perceived, for example, to be inexperienced or naive. So there was a case where this kid who worked as a technician at a hospital was taunted for, being a virgin and never having any sexual relationship with anybody. And this went on for years. And ultimately, he filed a lawsuit and prevailed on it. We are focusing today mostly on a sexual harassment. However, you should know that New Jersey law against discrimination and federal laws, including Title VII, prohibit targeting other people and harassing them based on other protected characteristics. And we have this long list that the law provides for. It includes race, creed, color, national origin, nationality, ancestry, age, sex, familial status, marital status, domestic relationship status, and so on. You can read in there. All those are considered to be protected characteristics. So harassing somebody because of it would qualify as a harassment. And so there are two main types that law distinguish in terms of workplace harassment. One is quid pro quo, and the other one is hostile working environment. Now, like as a little digression, obviously we are here to say this is wrong in itself, and there is an additional benefit for those of you that are like business owners or are in some managerial or supervisory position. Law provides protection for the entities who do the right thing. So those that have policies, anti-harassment and anti-discrimination policies that clearly define what is prohibited, that actually do have these type of sexual harassment training, that publish those, that come up with the policies as to how to report this type of behavior that is clear and that defines who should a victim go to. In those cases, if you all of a sudden have an employee who claims that she or he has been harassed for 2 or 3 years and nobody knows about it because he or she has not reported it, and there is no real adverse employment action as to that person, then the employer would not be liable or would have what is called affirmative defense, called often as Aguas defense under the New Jersey Supreme Court case that established that. Or alternatively, if you have these policies and the person complains and you conduct an investigation and take corrective measure, you also insulate the entity from what is called vicarious liability just because you stand in the shoes of an employer. So going forward as to what's quid pro quo harassment, I think we have heard a lot of this phrase in political arena recently, but in terms of employment, it's really this for that. And it always comes from a person of power, somebody in supervisory role, who makes certain sexual demand in return for either promoting that person or hiring that person, or otherwise makes threat that if that person does not comply, there will be consequences. And consequences don't necessarily have to be termination. They could be more subtle. You're always going to have a bad shift, or you're just not going to ever get any good assignments and that kind of stuff. So it is really sex or your job or promotion kind of situation. So we have like one scenario here under the harassment about the supervisor who goes on a business trip with an employee. So he sort of proposes that they share the room while on the trip, puts his hand on her leg, she rejects, and eventually he tells her, well, this is it for you, you're not traveling anymore, and she gets terminated. So this is a kind of quintessential quid pro quo kind of behavior that's prescribed. As opposed to quid pro quo, there is hostile working environment. In that case, it doesn't have to be a supervisor, it doesn't have to be a person of power. It can be a coworker, it can be client or a customer with whom you have to deal with on a regular basis. And that person is doing something that makes your working environment and circumstances hostile. In order to establish this type of case, the plaintiff or victim would have to establish 4 elements. First, that kind of behavior would not have happened but for that person's gender in sexual harassment cases or other protected characteristics, because this extends to all those other cases of race, religion, and whatever harassment. It needs to be severe or pervasive, and we'll talk about what that means. And then it has to be offensive to a reasonable person. So this sort of takes out of the equation people that are in legal parlance called eggshell plaintiffs. Those that, like, if I look at you, you're going to faint. So not those. But it's the law does take into account. It tries to protect people with like somewhat greater sensibilities. And finally, there must be altering in the environment and negative altering in the working environment for that person. So if it's sexual harassment, obviously it must be gender-based. And we said it's either severe or pervasive. So if it's severe, there are cases where court has found that one incident may suffice. There was a case of a police officer recruit, a female recruit, African-American, who came to a training with his fellow recruits, and her supervisor is looking at her as she's approaching and says, "Here comes Jungle Bunny." So that in itself was considered to be severe and off-putting enough to constitute hostile working environments. Pervasive, on the other hand, are less severe instances, but they're frequent. Somebody is constantly chipping away from your ability to do your work because they are kind of undermining you. Like we had a case with two Hispanic plaintiffs, both managers, who would go to business dinners and they would, and the joking would be, "Oh, is that guy in the back, is that your father?" Is going on the stereotypes about Hispanic people and their role in restaurants and low-level jobs. Or there would be, they should be ordered mariachi, or are you up to tacos and that kind of stuff. Eventually, that case was tried and there was a significant jury award. So another type of severe case that was published opinion that is cited here involved two women at a non-for-profit, ironically, a organization for protection of women's rights. The manager was a African-American woman. The employee is a white employee who had a history of sexual abuse in her childhood, and the manager knew this. And there was a meeting at which some words were exchanged. It was rough, and the supervisor afterwards approaches the employee, presses her against the desk, and tells her, "Are you still pissed at me? Because if you are, I'm going to stare in them big blue eyes and pet those white titties." And so then she strokes her in like a really sexual manner, then pursues her, then tries to hug her in a sexual manner. And this was considered by the court to be an extreme and severe instance, even though it was one, it was sufficient to substantiate the claim. And pervasive conduct, again, we have here another case that involved a woman who worked for Nabisco as a nurse and medical, I think she was a medical examiner there, and she was hired. She was a divorcee, good-looking woman of 33. As soon as she came, she was told, well, by manager, I was really not about to hire you because I know that young women who look good and are divorced are here just to get married. Then she does her job quite well. Part of her job was to deal with OSHA complaints and worker compensation claims, and she was successful in settling those. Again, rumors starts that she might be doing the guy who was representing the union at that time. There was a whole bunch of comments about her looks and hygiene and so on. And eventually she went out on a medical leave due to stress, and the court found that she was de facto constructively discharged because of the abundance of those type of comments that were offensive. So the question is, what do you do if you are subject to this type of behavior? It's important that you report it. and the employer will, in response to such report, investigate the complaint. Those complaints are always in the course of investigation. Employers try to keep the information confidential as much as practicable. There are provisions in law, both in New Jersey law against discrimination and Title VII, that prohibit retaliation for reporting. It also prohibits retaliation against people that testify, that witness this, or corroborate the employee's claim. So no retaliation. It's important to note that the law provides for individual liability of the supervisor. So other than the entity being sued in these kind of cases, often there is individual defendant who is a harasser, and he, more often than not, he or she, more often than not, is individually liable and often not covered by whatever policy the employer has. So I think that I have exceeded my time. Jared's looking at me. If you have any, or if you don't have any questions, that's it. If you have any questions, I can answer them now or after this presentation. Any questions?
Thank you, Maya.
Thank you, Maya. At this time, we are going to do an acceptance of the consent agenda. You all should have had that online before you got here, so hopefully you had the opportunity to look at it. Are there any questions on it or discussions? Anything need to come off of the consent agenda? Okay, so moving forward. Treasury report, Kathleen.
Hello. Here's the preliminary financial report for December 31st, 2019. The receipts and disbursement report is preliminary as we are waiting on receipt of additional invoices and income. Our membership increased by 1,703 members from December 2018. Our membership on December 31st was 56,075. which break down as Realtor members, 40,881, Realtor Associate members, 13,619, Emeritus members, 596, and secondary members, 757. Here are the highlights. Income. We met our budgeted numbers for Realtor and Realtor Associate dues. The proceeds from the 2019 convention will be reflected in the convention service fee line item once Triple Play has been finalized. This is not expected until March. Forms licensing reflects $180,000 from .loop for a 3-year contract and $80,000 from DocuSign. Interest income for December is not reflected in the report as our bank statements were not available. However, we expect to continue to see a healthy increase over the budgeted amount. This is due to an increase in interest rates and structure of our savings. On the expense side, contributions, the increase in contributions is due to a $25,000 contribution to the Realtor Relief Fund and $5,000 to the Alabama Realtor Disaster Relief Fund. On legal actions, we are still waiting on invoices related to the legal action, legal fees, and monies from NOR. I will need a motion to approve the preliminary financial report dated December 31st, 2019. Any discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote.
Why they call for the vote, going back to the consent agenda, since it is a consent agenda, we don't do a motion and we don't vote on it. Just a quick clarification.
Okay. Say the vote on it.
Yeah, Billy should be sending it out now.
Yes.
I got it. Yes. Oh.
Yes, ma'am.
Just one
Motion is approved. Okay. I will need a motion to approve the waiver of New Jersey Realtors dues for members and their spouses called into active military duty for the year 2020.
Motion. Second.
Any discussion?
Madam Treasurer, I do want to give an update. At the executive committee, it was asked how many members took advantage of this last year. We know of 2 members that took advantage of the exemption last year.
Can I call for the vote? Motion passes. Thank you.
You can stand up and announce.
At this time, could we have our CEO, Jared Grasso's report, please?
Happy New Year, everybody.
It's a happy year for Jared.
It's pronounced Gloucester. We got it. So, Gloucester is what she was going to say. We will miss you, Eileen. We will. I first want to recognize, I know Angela pointed out, we are in our new facility. You're all aware of this, but I want to commend Mary Pilar from staff who really kept the construction crew on task, and William Thompson, who kept the audio, visual, and everything else, all the bells and whistles, the subcontractors on task too, to get this space available and ready for today's event. So congratulations, guys. Another housekeeping item, the staff has asked me to make sure that when you are responding to the meeting center, so when you get the email for announcing the next board of directors meeting, don't respond to the email replying to the email. Actually log into the meeting center and click off that you're attending the meeting. Those of you are laughing a little bit harder because they know what you did. I know what you did, but it's okay. The system really, the way the system works is so that you log into the system, acknowledge that you're coming or let us know that you're coming, and then you'll also have access to all the materials. So please, if you could follow those instructions, that'd be great, Gene. That'd be great. So, I would like to introduce 2 very important members of our team that are here with us today. First, we'll introduce Thomas Duke. Thomas. Stay standing. And Matt Lowry. Matt. Both have joined our government affairs team. They'll be working as government affairs coordinators on the local level. Obviously, part of our mission is to ensure that we have a strong grassroots coordinated efforts, whether it's on a local issue, state issue, or on a national issue. The 2 of them have been assigned boards along with Bruce and Catherine and Doug. So you'll be hearing from the team as we progress into the new year, and welcome aboard. And that being said, I did introduce you last time, right, Catherine, at the last meeting? Okay, all right. I want to make sure. Everybody knows that Catherine Best has come back, so we are very fortunate to have her. And speaking of our crack team, Doug, if you could stand up, please. Our Vice President of Government Affairs deserves a round of applause. He did a fantastic job for us while we're fighting this independent contractor issue. He was in the State House along with Catherine and the team for many, many hours, making sure that we upheld the exemptions that we received within the legislation. And as for that legislation, it has died with the legislature as of yesterday. There was no vote on the bill that would have sent it to the governor. I do want to point out that we had 11,800 plus emails that were sent directly to the governor, which is one of the largest call to actions that we've ever had as a state association. So thank you all for your support, and you all deserve a round of applause for that. So what does this mean for us in the long run? We're going to be back fighting the same fight these next 2 years. And when I say these next 2 years, it's most likely going to be the next few months. The legislature is over at the War Memorial today, getting sworn into the 219th legislative session. The Governor Murphy will be out speaking today about the state of the state, giving his thoughts and viewpoints on what he would like to see happen during this next legislative term. I believe that this is going to be a priority issue. If in fact they are to eliminate our exemptions, meaning that the carve-outs that we have, we'll be lumped in with the Uber drivers and everybody else who'll be fighting this fight. We hope that the bill is going to be reintroduced with our exemptions. However, that being said, the governor's office is still not convinced that we should have any type of carve-out. So we are going to go all out on this legislation moving forward. Doug and his team met early this morning to prepare a budget that will be presented to the Issues Mobilization Fund trustees in the next couple of days, but it'll also be sent up to the National Association of Realtors. We're thinking that this is going to be a $2 million fight for us. That being said, we have $3.9 million in our issues fund ready just for an issue like this. And that's where we stand today without the incoming dues dollars coming in. And we are going to need everybody to take action on this, plain and simple. I don't know what this legislation is going to look like moving forward. I don't think any of us know what that's going to look like. We're hoping that the Senate President and the Assembly Speaker will move a bill forward that will have the carve-outs. But still remember, the governor holds the pen. And what I mean by that is that he could do a conditional veto, take the exemptions out, send it back to the legislature, and then the legislature's hands forced. They're not going to be able to overturn a conditional veto. The bill's going to go forward as is, and it's not going to have our exemptions in there. And we will be subject to the ABC test. Now, again, Barry and I have talked about different avenues that we could take. We're going to explore other options along with Doug to see if there's not a specific carve-out for realtors within this piece of legislation. Is there something else that we could do to protect the industry within our own license laws or within our own definitions? So we're going to look at that as maybe a separate piece of legislation. So just stay tuned, everybody. Is there any questions I can answer? Yes, TG.
As NAR, have they committed anything to help us with this fight at this point?
No. So remember the way this legislation played out, other than Katie Johnson and I talking prior to the bill moving forward in the legislature, because Realogy obviously was discussing the legislation with us and they contacted her. The answer is no, because it was such a short window back last year. Doug, we spent about $250,000 roughly on the independent contractor issue and between November and how much did we spend? I don't remember. 35. All right. I misspoke this morning. I was thinking of a different issue. So we spent about, let's say $45,000 out of the issues fund. That was just doing a targeted campaign to our membership. And what we'll do is we'll not only use a targeted campaign to our membership with moving forward with any monies that we allocate towards this fight. What we will do is we'll also target the individual legislators. Because remember, we did not do anything to target legislators because we knew that we had the amendments that we needed within the legislative body. It was our job to convince the governor to show him how important of an issue this was. So we are going to NAR to ask for $1 million for them to match our $1 million in this fight. So I know it was a long-winded answer, but I want to make sure I covered all the bases on that. Anything else on this issue? No? All right. So that was one issue that we were discussing during the lame duck session. The second issue was lead paint. You've heard me talk about this ad nauseum over the last couple of years. For those of you who are new to the board of directors this year, basically they're going to pass legislation, or they want to pass legislation that would require at the time of sale that a home is inspected and most likely be remediated if there's any lead paint found. This will cost the average homeowner upwards of $20,000 to $30,000 to have full remediation done in a home. The inspection process will cost you $500 to $1,000. We also know that there's not enough licensed inspectors in the state of New Jersey to keep up with the demand that this legislation will cause. So we were able to, the bill was actually posted for a vote, I think at least twice during the lame duck session. We were able to get the bills pulled off of the agendas by the committee chairs to allow for further discussion and compromise if we can work out on a compromise on this legislation. So again, that bill is going to be reintroduced into the next legislative session. Window guards. Window guard legislation was moving forward and actually was passed out of the Senate committee, but did not go any further during this last session during the lame duck. What this legislation was going to do is say, window guards, we already have window guards. Ours is an opt-in window guard law in the state. This is an opt-out window guard law. So if you have somebody who's 10 years or younger staying in that house or a multiple dwelling, it's automatic that the window guards are going to be put on there unless the person opts out of it. Our biggest issue is that this is going to be, they take out the seasonal rental exemption. So that means all those condos down in Wildwood and certain areas would have to have window guards on the windows, and then the individual leaseor would then ask for them to be removed, right, on a weekly basis. So it'd be on, off, depending on the individuals. So our primary focus on the window guard is going to be making sure that we maintain the seasonal rental exemptions moving forward with this. As for the opt-in, opt-out, we might not have a very strong case on this one. So our leases will have to be amended if in fact this becomes a law in the new legislative session. Any questions about that? Last but not least, I do want to point out there was a freelance worker bill that was also put forth in the legislature. And what they did, and this is all during that lame duck session, what they did is they were doing amendments to try to accommodate us, they thought. And they put independent contractors in, but exempted realtors out, or real estate licensees out, would then actually make us employees. So therefore, we asked them to reverse some of the amendments from the floor. We were able to reverse those amendments from the floor. The bill is now sent up to the legislature. It has zero impact on us as an industry, but I want you to know that some people are confusing independent contractors and freelance workers as two of the same. They are not. They are separate entities. We are not part of the freelance worker bill. If you want more details on that, ask Doug. He could get it for you. I do want to talk about RPAC. Obviously, RPAC is going to be crucial for us moving forward. We need to make sure that we maintain our presence. Whatever you could do to help us bolster our RPAC numbers is greatly appreciated. Last year, we came in at $875,953.12. Thank you, Jeff Jones, for the 12 cents. 81% of our total goal. However, we did hit the NAR total goal number because we also used our Issues Mobilization Fund to supplement our RPAC fundraising. So we were over 100% on the national level. Total spent during this last election cycle. Remember, we had the New Jersey legislature. The assembly was up for re-election. We had spent $215,000 during this last election. Total candidates that were supported by RPAC were 72. We won 69 out of the 72 races. So we are at 96% of the races there. So, and a couple of them that, you know, down in District 1 in Cape May, we really thought we had our friends, and we stuck with our friends, and they lost. And that's just the way it is. That's politics. So I do want to point out also the other arm that we offer. We were talking about the legislative arm. We talked about the RPAC arm of the association, now the independent expenditure arm. That we made a huge difference. I can tell you that much. Though we lost again down in Cape May, sticking with our friends and promoting our friends down in the Cape May area. We've already met with the new senator. He was senator-elect and now is sworn in to kind of talk about the issues, and he's very receptive to us. But we were able to move the needle in the Hotaling-Downey race in District 11, saving those 2 seats. District 21, the Munoz-Bramnick race, we saved those 2 seats. District 25, Tony Bucco Jr., his father passed away. It was a vacant seat. We were able to maintain that seat for Tony Bucco Jr. and District 26 Realtor Betty Lou DeCroce. We made sure we sent a clear message to her running mate, who was also a Republican, that you don't mess with a realtor, and she was the highest vote getter in that district. So we were very successful there. So congratulations to all of you on those important issues, wins. Last but not least, the staff wants me to point out that the Who's Who app will be updated and or website will be updated, and you'll have access to that hopefully by the end of the week. We're just doing some housekeeping items, making sure we clean up everybody's data. I know, Angela, you're going to talk in a few minutes about your global initiative. I know that we're excited to embark on a new venture here in trying to promote New Jersey from a global investor standpoint. And we have our first PAG meeting on January 23rd. PAG meeting, Presidential Advisor Group. Catherine was saying this is the wrong date, January 27th. I know it's 20-something. 27th. And we'll hopefully be rolling out some great stuff in the next couple of weeks. Local board videos, as promised. So we found our company. It's Moho. They're the ones that have been producing our last 3 videos, which have been tremendous. It's a husband-wife team based out of Pennsylvania. They're very close to us. February 5th is going to be the day. So mark your calendars, board presidents and executive officers who are listening, is going to be your day to utilize the New Jersey Realtors studio on the 2nd floor. Moho is locked down. We'll be sending an email out to the board presidents and executive officers probably by tomorrow, saying that it's first come, first served. You'll block off the video space for 45-minute increments. And you'll receive a 5-minute video that you could use on your social media channels. So it'll be a quarterly video. So February 5th, once the email goes out, it's first come, first serve when it comes to time. So don't ask for a time today. We'll have an email going out. And I know how you guys all work. So we'll have an email going out. And once the email goes out, Colleen will have some type of sign-up sheet that you guys could utilize. And last but not least, I am very happy to report that all local boards and state association has met the NAR core standards for 2019. So congratulations. That concludes my report. If there's any other questions, concerns, anything I didn't address? No? All right. Maya, thank you. Go ahead. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Well, before we pin Angela, your new president, I just want to give a big thanks to all of you because this year has just been exceptional. And when I look in the room, it becomes overwhelming to think that when I started in this business in 1997, I started in a profession that I wanted to help people. And I never really saw that or experienced that as much as until I got involved. And what got me here were my peers sitting in this room. Because without all of you, and a lot of you have helped me get to this point, it took you to see something within me that sometimes we don't see ourselves. It doesn't matter how much our families tell us. It doesn't matter how much our significant others tell us. We learn from our contemporaries and we learn from our peers. So the one person who asked me to get involved, I believe gave me my career in real estate and helped me stay and be a better realtor. And it's just overwhelming to be standing here after being a realtor since 1997. The time goes by quickly. I want to thank all of you. I want to thank my 2019 leadership team. Jared, his staff is incredible. Past President Chris, for all of your help last year. And you've heard me say this before. It takes one person to make that difference. There's 40-something or 50-something of you in this room, whoever's online. We have to have heart to be here. And this is what I say when we go on our appointments. Our credentials get us in the door, but they don't keep us in the door. It's the one-on-one, it's the connections that we make. And that's what bonds you to our clients. And that's what bonds us to each other. So all of you have strength in numbers here. Identify that one person like somebody did with me and help continue to move our association forward. Because other than the wonderful staff that we have, it's the realtors. I mean, we keep them going, we help each other. And we just need to continue to build our base and get people involved. So thank you. And again, thank you for the honor.
I'm ready.
Okay, Angela Socoli, our 2020 president. I am very proud to give you your gavel. Hopefully you'll
you.
never have to use it.
I hope not.
Okay. But more
sure not.
importantly, your pin, and wear it proudly because you deserve it. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so happy for the 2020 incoming leadership team.
Thank you. It's my turn. Thank you, Eileen. You know, this year we've had an incredible representation as our president. She was a ray of sunshine. No matter where she went, we saw this big, beautiful smile, always with the confidence, always bringing the good word. And we are so lucky to have had you as our president. So on behalf of, let's start with this one. On behalf of the New Jersey Realtors, Eileen, here's your beautiful
Thank you.
plaque.
Thank you again.
And also, isn't this beautiful? Look, has anybody ever really taken a look at this thing? You know what? It's a tribute, and wear it with pride.
Yeah.
Well, we got it.
That's okay.
We got it. Thank you. Let's all stand up and give Eileen a round of applause. Thank you.
That's all right. I do think it's funny that
You know, it's very fun to see that. Fine, you got rid of everything.
Except the lipstick on your cheek.
Well, you've got me. As Mike says, you can quit, but I'm not going to quit. I'm not a quitter, and I will give you my all this year. At this time, I'd like to present to you my executive committee. I'll start out with my leadership team. We'll have President-elect Jeffrey Jones. Please stand up, Jeff. First Vice President Robert White. President Colin, Kathy Warren. Immediate past President Eileen. Our past President Representative Chris Schluter. Please stand up, Chris. Local Board AE Representative Nicole Bandor. Regional Vice Presidents. Region 1, Kenneth Cooper. Region 2, please stand up. Region 2, Bill Nelson. Region 3, Sandra Gardner. Region 3, there's 2, Region 4, there's us 3 here. Teresa Trias Farfelli. And Region 5, Mark Quartello. Thank you. I look forward to working with all of you. I'm excited to see what the year lies ahead for us in this association. As we enter the year together, I hope that we can do so with a few goals in mind. Communication with our members is more important now than ever. One way we can spread our message and services is by connecting with brokers throughout the state. The influence that brokers have over the industry can help us educate our agents and emphasize the importance of the realtor organization. As a broker myself, I understand the importance of getting information to my agents on a timely basis. In the coming year and beyond, we need to have broker-centric conversations outlining the value and information of our services to them So much so that the brokers will convey our messages through their own channels to their agents. Our global initiative is going to be a main focus this coming year. For the past year, we've been developing an initiative. In 2020, we plan to continue it full force. We are confident we can drive industry to the investors to New Jersey from overseas with our presence in NIMPM, conversations with the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, and our National Association of Realtors ambassadorship. The year ahead, I really look forward to working with everyone. I am going to bring our year to a level like Eileen did, fun, outreach, and always feel free to reach out to me, Jared, or anyone on my leadership team. We're there to help and move us forward. We have a great association, and we should all be very proud of the presence New Jersey has throughout the country. And I am happy to be part of your leadership and your leader. Okay. We have a couple other things on the forefront. Our Education Foundation, the student scholarship application is now available online. All applications must be submitted by April 9th, 5 o'clock. Leadership Academy. The Leadership Academy for the National Association of Realtors is now accepting applications for 2021. The deadline to submit your application is March 3rd, 2020. If you're interested, the stepping stone is go to your board, and the board will get it to us for one person that will be endorsed by New Jersey. Okay, that's it. We need a report for the annual meeting from Jeff Jones.
Oh, you won't believe what he just did. He put a stool here so that I can step up. All right. And by the way, at 5'5", I'll take advantage of anything I can get. Heels, stools.
I actually picked out this podium just for him.
Good afternoon and Happy New Year. I've been asked to give you a couple of updates from the National Association of Realtors Board of Directors meeting this November past. Point number one, and because I'm going to talk to staff, I'm a senior citizen. This is hard to read. I got to use my glasses. A change to the Code of Ethics was approved. It extends the training requirement from every 2 years to every 3 years, and extends the current cycle deadline to December 31st, 2021. The new cycle will begin January 1, 2022, and end on December 31st, 2024. Additional changes approved by the Code of Ethics PAGs included the following: commitment to excellent endorsements as an equivalency option that satisfies the NAR code requirement. Secondarily, content training revised to include professional conduct, courtesy, business etiquette, and real-life scenarios. The second important point they wanted me to make this afternoon is the MLS Statement 8.0, also known as the Clear Cooperation Policy. This was passed and requires listing brokers who are participants in MLS to submit their listing to the MLS within 1 business day of marketing the property to the public. MLSs have until May 1st, 2020 to implement this policy. And Madam President, this concludes my report. I will push this in. You don't need this. No. Thanks for stepping up, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. We need an approval for the legal firm of Greenbaum, Rao, Smith, and Davis. Oh, you have to leave.
Get him out.
Get out.
Under the conflict of interest policy, I just enunciated before.
Close the door.
Don't listen. Approval of the legal firm of Greenbaum, Rowe, Smith, and Davis to act as legal counsel for New Jersey Realtors for the year 2020. I need a motion. Second. You will. Discussion? All in favor? Oh, we're gonna get a vote. That takes you.
One or two. Not three.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, it's approved. All right, we need an approval for Crow LLP as New Jersey Realtors accountant for the year 2020. We need a motion. Second. Discussion. Jared?
Madam President, I just want to point out that this is a change in accounting firms for us. We've been with Friedman LLP for many years. In discussions through Budget and Finance and also on the national level, I've been appointed to the Budget and Finance Committee. Crow LLP is the same accounting firm that is based out of they have an office in New Jersey, but they're the same accounting firm that the National Association of Realtors is using. We did an analysis of the costs that Freeman LLP charged us compared to the Crow proposal. The Crow proposal was right in line with Freeman LLP. They are experts in the nonprofit and not-for-profit world. And we thought this was a prudent choice for us moving forward with all the different entities that we have as an association, that they can provide a high level of service for basically the same amount of money that we're spending in the past. I just wanted to clear that up for the board.
Drew.
Just to follow on that, it's been several years. It was brought up when we started with them, and they've done a great job, is that we really should move to another group after a certain amount of years. So it makes a lot of sense that we tie to them, and they do a great job with us.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, we're ready for the vote.
They told me, but I'd have to watch it. I haven't checked the rules. Don't worry, we'll try.
Okay, we have a vote. Thank you. Approval of bank resolutions authorizing New Jersey Realtors Treasurer Kathleen Moran, New Jersey Realtors CEO Jared Grosso, and COO Martha Shanice to conduct New Jersey Realtors financial business in 2020. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussions? Oh,
I guess I should.
you have to leave? Oh.
By the way, Lee.
We have a few questions.
Yeah, good luck signing checks.
Martha. I think we should make that.
Okay, does anybody have anything to say? Okay, the motion, second, discussion, vote. So moved.
Second.
Oh.
I know.
Where are we?
I don't know.
Just waiting for it to come. I've got to do a little bit up here.
While you're
Okay.
voting, I just want to let everybody know there's a very nice kitchen out there that I didn't know existed until I went out there. You take a look at it.
Did you make
Lovely
lunch?
kitchen.
Sharon, you gotta hear what they say.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. All right, it brings us to unfinished business. Any unfinished business? Oh. Okay. You know, it's great honor. I've known this man for probably about 30 years. I'd like to take a moment to recognize Drew Fishman. Drew, stand up. He is our Region 2 RVP for 2020. You're very well represented. Thank you, Drew. Okay, now comes unfinished business. Any unfinished business? New business. Anybody have anything they'd like to discuss? Nothing?
I'll give you one.
Yeah.
The LLC that came up last year, has that had any moving forward or anything else like that? Or is-
What Gene is referring to is that we had legislation that was introduced that would allow for LLCs to be paid directly from a broker instead of having to give the agent the money, and then the agent would then give the money back to the LLC, and then the LLC would pay out. The legislation is going to be reintroduced into the new session. We got bogged down with the independent contractor issue, so we were unable to move that legislation forward during this past lame duck session.
Anybody else? Anybody like to speak about the new cooperation? Nothing? 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 Okay, everybody's educated on. Wow.
This is great with the tables and stuff. This setup is awesome.
Isn't it beautiful? It really is. And it's much more comfortable looking out there. I'm sure it's comfortable for you guys, and it doesn't, I'll always be nervous, but Gene.
Jared, going back to what you were saying with the LLCs, you're saying the brokers paying to an LLC rather to an agent directly, with the LLC not being a licensed entity?
No, so the LLC would be registered. So part of the legislation is that the LLC will be registered with the New Jersey Real Estate Commission, so that they know that the broker's paying the monies to the LLC. The LLC then is paying out to the individual agents, or however they have it structured. Okay. But it will be registered. Part of the legislation is that we sought an amendment to make sure that the LLC was registered with the Real Estate Commission. Okay. Good question.
Okay. If we have no further business, I move to adjourn. That's it. He wasn't online.
No, it wasn't on mine yet. Just to make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know you. Just not today. Yeah, exactly.